Philippians 4, verse 6. This is what it says. It says, don't worry about anything. Instead, pray about everything. Tell God what you need and thank him for all he's done. So let's break this down. Paul starts by saying, don't worry about anything. Instead, pray about everything. Did you know that the word worry comes from the German word würgen, which means to strangle? Because that's what worry does. Right? Worry strangles our peace. Worry strangles our joy. It strangles our thoughts and our emotions. It strangles our healing and our growth. And Paul says, do not let worry choke you out, but pray. If it matters to you, it matters to God. Now I'm going to say that one more time because I need us to believe this. Right? This is why Paul says everything. That word in the Greek means everything. Because if it matters to you, it matters to God. And Paul says that's what we need to pray about. And listen, I understand that some of us struggle to believe whether or not this is true because we view God as this really big, really distant entity that can be too busy for us. We think we are just one of 8 billion people in the world. So why would God care about the things that I struggle with? Why would God care about my pain? Why would the God of the universe care about my fears and my worries and my questions? Why would the things that matter to me matter to God? Or how about this? Some of us struggle with this because of how we view our own fathers. Right, think about it. How many of you had a father or a father figure who couldn't be bothered when they got home from work? So now you think that God shouldn't be bothered by you. How many of you had a father who overreacted to the little things, so now you think that God is going to respond to you in the same way? How many of you had a father who seemed uninterested in the things that you cared deeply about, and so now you assume, you project that onto God, and you believe that he's uninterested in you? Right? How many of you had a father where you grew up in a house and you had to hold things back because they never showed empathy, and the response when there was pain was just toughen up? And you don't pray because you're afraid that God's going to say the same thing to you. And listen, I know that some of you have great relationships with your father, but that doesn't mean we don't project those wounds onto God. That's my sweet spot. I do that all the time. And because of this, there are times when we approach God the way that we approach our fathers when we're little kids. But maybe it isn't distance or father issues that have you questioning whether the things that matter to you matter to God. Maybe you picked this up from church growing up. Someone along the line told you that you should only pray for the really big things because God doesn't have time to answer the prayers about that test that's stressing you out or whether you made the team or not. Or maybe you were simply just taught that prayer is not this intimate conversation with God. It's just this ritual that you repeat over and over and over again. Whatever the struggle is, right, we struggle to believe that this is true, that if it matters to God, or it matters to us, it matters to God. But Paul says, pray about everything. Because God cares deeply about you and the things that burden you. This is why throughout the Old Testament and the New Testament in the Bible, you read verses like this. 1 Peter 5:7 says, give all your worries and cares to God, for he cares about you. This was written by Peter, right? Jesus' closest friend. He's not talking hyperbole. He's talking about his own personal experience that he was writing down for us. Or how about this? Deuteronomy 31:8 says, do not be afraid or discouraged, for the Lord will personally go ahead of you. He will be with you. He will neither fail you nor abandon you. These words come straight from God to Moses while he's leading the Israelites out of slavery. Psalm 55:22, give your burdens to the Lord and he will take care of you. King David wrote this. The same David who stepped out on his marriage, blew up his whole life, and then after being called out for his sin, turned to God and sought out forgiveness. Because it's not that God only cares about us when we're doing everything right. It's also when our sin goes unchecked and we screw up our lives. And then John 3:16, right? For this is how God loved the world. He gave his one and only Son so that everyone who believes in him will not perish, but have eternal life. These are just constant reminders that if it matters to you, it matters to God. That when you pray, God isn't in heaven rolling his eyes at you. God isn't thinking, when are they going to stop talking? He isn't leaving you on red. He cares deeply about you. He wants to hear from you, which is why Paul teaches us, don't worry about anything. Instead, pray about everything.